Welcome back to Trading 360. I'm Diane King Hall. Time now for the big three stocks, 3 charts, and 3 trades. Rick Ducat will take us through the charts, and here to take us through the trades is Tim Bohen, Chief Technical Trainer at StocksToTrade.com. You can tell it's a Friday, guys. I've got a tongue twister there, Tim. And at least I made you crack up without a pun so far. But you know I'm bringing one. Okay, so we're going to get into your first one right away. Opendoor, which opened the door to more gains recently with the news of its CEO. You like that one. All right, Tim, tell us about this one.
Yeah. First off, Diane, thank you for having me back. I think my internet is last half hour. It's got a little choppy, but I think I'm going to be in studio with you next week, so I do look forward to that. I apologize if my internet cuts out, but Open, I was here 3 weeks ago. Open was in the threes, and we talked about Paul Tudor Jones buying in. The thesis around the rate cuts coming and the short squeeze, and I believe it was in the mid threes when I was live with you, and it's just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing higher. And I think that this short squeeze as kind of a meme stock as well is just getting started. So still love this one, even though it was at the threes 3 weeks ago and it's in the nines today.
It is in the nines today. All right, so that sets us up for Rick taking a deep dive into this chart. Tell us what you noticed, because, I mean, look, the outside size move in this has really just come recently.
This is one of those, exactly, outsized moves that really you take notice of when you start to see it because it's so explosive. The price activity was volatile. What that is revealed by is our broadening triangle type pattern that you can see forming. We had two trend line boundaries along the highs and lows diverging apart from each other, suggesting the highs and lows are becoming increasingly farther apart. The swings are getting bigger and bigger. A difficult environment. Your targets are constantly moving away from each other. So that was something that may have been a tricky situation to handle. But, I mean, we had a huge push to the upside this week here. Now we can see that the low point seems to be around 730, 740 or so. That would be a short-term boundary for the bulls to hold on to. Oftentimes when you have one of these big pushes to the upside, price will retreat to a prior resistance level that then becomes support. So be on the lookout for that consolidative behavior, that bull flag or bull pennant type of activity where we do see the eventual push that takes out the old highs that were established then. So now we can see RSI still bullish, still overbought here, a sign of strength in a trending market here. It'll be very interesting to see what starts to happen next week when this move has been digested a little bit more and trading reopens here. So now we can see that our a visual illustration of how extreme this move is our standard deviation channels. I had to go all the way up to 6 standard deviations away from our linear regression line here. So extremely outsized move here relative to its own price performance here. That boundary comes in at about 990 here. Could be a point to keep an eye on.
Okay, and then Tim, really quickly, want to get a final thought on Opendoor before we move on to your next stock.
Yeah, like to keep in mind, as you mentioned, I wouldn't be buying up here. I think like when you look at the explosive move of this stock in straight parabolic pretty much yesterday, where you're going to be looking for is those pullbacks to those previous support levels, because I think that's where it's going to bounce off of those levels. And yeah, totally agree with that. Don't chase it up here, wait for those pullbacks. But like I said, I think this squeeze is just literally just getting started at this point.
Let's talk about the next name on your list. You've got rocket companies on your list. It's having quite a different year this year than last year. Tell us about your thesis here. I'm a Michigan boy at heart, still in Michigan now. I really like what Dan Gilbert has done, especially for Detroit. And, this is one of those names, kind of similar thesis to Opendoor. And again, I just really like the chart, as we head into, kind of going back to that idea of the mortgage refi, in theory, getting uncapped next week. I mean, we'll still see what Jay Powell says, but I mean, everybody's saying rate cut, maybe jumbo rate cut, multiple rate cuts. Your previous guest said that as well. And when you think about that, actually, all these people refining, that brings more business. And I just really like it from a chart perspective. Looking at that chart you've got up right now, breaking out. And I think that when you add in the thesis of the rates, just a nice, great uptrending chart here.
Okay, all right, Rick, the chart, that's your wheelhouse. What do you notice about this one?
Yeah, so this is another of these situations where we had a breakout, and now it's looking for potentially a supportive area. So we can see that we had our push to the upside here once price crossed above 17. That became the supportive area that was tested a few times there. Then we had our ceiling that came in about 19.15 here, so about a $2.50 wide range in which price bounced back and forth. Now we had our breakout here, but if you were to draw a trend line along these low points during our recent activity here, you could also duplicate it and put it across these highs as best you can. It matches up fairly well here, so that gives us a potential boundary as well to think about here. Certainly not a brick wall that price is going to stop at here, just a tool you can use to project potential further highs here. And when we look at look out for some potential supportive areas, right here stands out that level just below 21, around 2050 perhaps here. That's the highs before we had our most recent break to the upside. That's about where we've bottomed out so far. Beyond that, though, 1950, that level we mentioned earlier, would be the next old resistance that is now looking rather supportive. Notice as well how heavy the volume activity has been. Lots of volume spikes, meaning volume that's at least 50% above the 50-day simple moving average. Numerous spikes during the past couple of months here suggests high conviction on the part of traders. Now, if we were to look at volume profile, not a ton of help here, but we can see that 18 level was the heaviest trading area here, and you can see the volume really starts to drop off above 1950 once more. +2 and +3 standard deviation channels could also be boundaries here, 2007 and 2269 respectively to the downside and upside.
Okay, all right. Tim, I don't know if you know this, I'm actually originally from the Midwest, so I respect the Midwest ties. I'm from Ohio, though, so we may have a little bit of beef. We can discuss that offline. All right, but the next one on your list, we won't have beef about. You've got Terawulf on your list today. But look, this is a Bitcoin miner. It's made a big move already year to date. What's your view on this one now?
Well, going into the fall and winter, that's kind of always the crypto season. And what I really like about this one, data centers, crypto space, AI, a lot of those buzzwords. And then we just got that really nice kind of consolidation from August to September, and then just broke out this week. And as long as it can hold above that basically 1050 level, again, crypto season, obviously very bullish market, for stocks. Just really liking this one to kind of hold above that 10 level, just trend all through the fall and winter. So.
Okay. All right, Rick, what do you notice about this chart?
So I'm kind of seeing a similar theme here of these post-breakout stocks that we're focusing on here today. In this case, we had a kind of a cup and handle type price action here, where we had the $9 highs back here, then we had a decline, gradual bottoming out near $2, and then the resurgence here. We once again made it to that resistance area, had a brief consolidative phase here. Now we have taken off beyond the initial high. So it gives us this coffee cup type of shape here. So what we had in this area, too, was notable. This would be kind of a bull pennant type of pattern here, this consolidative phase that you get after the breakout to a supportive level that I kind of keep mentioning here. In this case now, we are in the stage where what the bulls would want would be for price to reestablish itself above those initial highs near 1050 and then continue the trend further here. We are seeing RSI snap its downward sloping red trend line and re-enter that overbought area. Very heavy volume as well during our last spike to the upside. So now to check in on our standard deviation channels again, the +3 channel comes in right about here near 1109. That's about where we topped out so far. So an area to consider. And once again, $9 comes back into focus. It's the +2 channel. It's a volume node. It's those old highs. It's the 21-day exponential moving average. If there's any technical level that stands out in the near term, that would be the one that really sticks out to the downside.
Okay, all right, and let's talk about you're bringing, Tim, a bonus stock with us today. I believe it's pronounced Iren. You will actually have to correct me on this one. That one's also had another big move year to date. So tell us your view on this one.
Yeah, we in the day trading community, community, we like to call it Iren. We always come up with these kind of dumb names with tickers. But this one that kind of first hit our radar really back in the summer. Again, big breakout. You can kind of see that big power move in June to July, and then consolidated, broke out again, and then consolidated and broke out again today. Again, AI, it's kind of similar to the WULF idea. A lot of cloud, a lot of buzzwords, data centers, cloud computing. I believe they have a little bit of crypto exposure for miners. And when you kind of tie that story together with the chart, this is another one that I wanted to throw in as a bonus idea that I really like. This one, kind of similar thesis to WULF, really, but a little higher price, a little more stable than WULF.
That's our Rick Ducat and Tim Bohen with the trades today for our big three. Thank you guys. Have a good weekend.